Oh man, what is going on, Florida State family? Seminole Nation and the 863 tribe. Hold on one second. Left my mic, not my mic. Left the mouse at work. Okay, mic check is good. So that's why I gotta stretch all weirdly. And I forgot to put my hat on. I need a haircut. There we go. Now we're ready to rock. The schedule's out. We got a new commit. And FSU's got some championship dreams, some aspirations. So that's what's on the docket today. As we talk about those three particular topics. Schedule. Well, we'll start with our newest commit. Then we will go into the schedule. We'll have a nice long discussion about the schedule. Do we like the schedule? Do we not like the schedule? Good. Is it set up well? Tough, easy, hard? I don't know. Whatever we talk about there. Then I want to talk about, I think the ACC is the goal. But if FSU is going to make the step, if we're going to go beyond ACC, if we're going to legitimately try to make a playoff push, and not only make a push but contend, I want to talk about what needs to happen for FSU to take that step. All that and so much more on tonight's episode of The Hangover, episode 76. If you're in Texas, stay warm out there. The ice is all over the roads. We've been stuck in the house all day. But before we get into everything, y'all know the deal. By the way, the Knicks are playing the Lakers, so I got that game on in the back. And we're actually winning. Knicks are actually winning. We'll see if we can pull it out. I don't trust the Knicks to win games. I'm surprised every time they win one. But before we do everything, man, let's pay these bills. You know who we pay these bills. Hit my like button. Subscribe if you're new around here. Share the video. Let people know we are live and about to get it in. And let's get to this roll call in 5. And bear with me, too. Like I said, I don't have my mouse, so I'm like having to stretch. Oh, let's move that this way. Yeah, let's do that. Move that way. This way I can reach my computer. Okay, there we go. Left my mic at work. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Kenny Hayden in the building. Nick in the building. Rock Frazier. Peter Shields, member at 863 Tribe. Champ 99. Irv Gotti, member at 863 Tribe. Okay. VJ, member at 863 Tribe. Jeff. Did I say already Kenny? Well, it don't matter. Kenny's in the building 2 times. EMG. Pharrell. Tyler, member 863 Tribe. Panama Jack. Let's get it. Marvin Barnes. Damian Adams. Rough Rider. Tyrone Oliver. Vontae B, member 863 Tribe. Big Bus. Jerg in the building says, hope you slip and fall on somebody after the show. Rob, Terrell, and 226 Tim all in the building, man. Hit that like button. Michael Adams is in the building. Hit the like button. Hit the like button, man. Let's get it kicking. I'm trying to move the mic out of my way so I can access the computer better. Like you can tell when you gotta sit when you gotta set up and your setup's wrong, it just messes with the whole flow of what you usually do. So that's how I'm feeling right now. All right. As I get adjusted here. Give me a minute, man. All right, man. Texas linebacker Dylan Brown Turner. FSU's newest linebacker, well, newest commit, period. Linebacker out of, where's he out of? I think he's out of Denton. Not 100% sure there, not going to lie. Matter of fact, let's bring him up. Let's bring him up real quick. Let's do our due diligence. Give the young man his proper introduction as he makes now 18 commits for FSU's 2022 class. So he's out of South Oak Cliff in Dallas, Texas. 6'1", 200 pounds. He's he's ranked in the top 1,500 in the nation. The 130th backer, the 246th player in the state of Texas by the composite. Was originally committed to North Texas, decommitted, and flipped for what it's worth. I don't know. Look, guys, you can ask Jerg. I don't know if Jerg went out there and watched that kid or not. I've been trying to be positive on this one. I'm just gonna say that apparently, eventually, we have to. Eventually, man, we got to fix linebacker recruiting. I mean, if it's not for Blake Nicholson, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? I don't want to really come in here and blast this young man. He might be good, but come on. Why do we continue to take these linebacker? I mean, look, man. I say this all the time. When we talking skill position guys, I'm much more forgiving than the rankings. I think you can find You can find running backs and receivers, man, walking on the street. And that's no disrespect to the positions. It's just you get you a good system, get you a good scheme in place, and you can scheme guys open. You can generate yards offensively. Now you get elite talent in those offenses, and yeah, that's when your offense takes the next step. But you can generate yards offensively. I would I would dare I would dare somebody to show me um the last time a linebacker ranked in the thousands actually turned out to be all conference. Forget all American. Just turned out to be an all conference player in a Power Five. Linebackers are a little different, man. Linebackers are a little different. Certain positions are different, and again, trying to be positive, but I'm just gonna, I gotta give you the truth, and I gotta give you my honest perspective here. Um, More so than anything, what do we always do? I did this last year with Kanaya Charlton. Kanaya Charlton was an unranked offensive lineman, but looked at his offers. Remember his offers? He had Texas. I think Bama offered him. Kanaya Charlton had like over 30 offers or something like that of some big schools. So teams were interested in a 6'5", 350-pound offensive lineman for obvious reasons. If we look at Dylan Brown Turner's offers, the the thing that bothers me is that literally, no team in Texas other than SMU, and University of Texas San Antonio offered this guy. Not Texas Tech, not TCU, not Texas A&M, not Houston, not UTEP. SMU and University of Texas San Antonio, the only two teams in the state of I guess, and North Texas, sorry. The only two teams in the state to give this guy. So all of these schools, all of these colleges, all of these universities in the state of Texas, and everybody overlooked them. But we want to sit here and pretend like FSU just found some sleeping diamond in the rough. We got to be honest with ourselves, Seminole fans. We have to be honest with ourselves. That's all I'm saying. Me personally, when I found out we were interested in the young man, I felt like you could have used that position on it. You could have found this man in the transfer portal, in my humble opinion. Here's what's going to happen with Dylan Brown, if I'm just being honest. He's going to sit on the bench because he's not playing year one. He's going to sit on the bench for 2 years and he's going to hit the portal. If you would have left him at North Texas, he would have sat on the bench. He would actually been a focal point, developed, and if he was the diamond in the rough that everybody thinks he is, he would have hit the portal because he would have outplayed, he would have overperformed at North Texas, and he would have hit the portal and gone somewhere else. So he's what I'm hoping happens. I mean, obviously, you hope he plays. Like you hope he's way better than these rankings, but it's not like he played in South Dakota somewhere. He played in Dallas, Texas, bro. There's plenty of scouts. If he was what people want him to be, somebody would have discovered him. That's just my humble opinion, okay? Now, two things are going to happen. And that's the only thing you can say, Marcus, is that we need scout team guys. That's fine. That's fair. You brought him on the scout team. You still could have got. Oh, the Knicks are losing now, but of course the Knicks are losing. You just could have found him in the portal, but it is what it is. We saw this with the Kobe Grosses and the Jordan Eubanks. You get these guys on campus, they're going to spend a couple years here and they're going to hit the portal because if we're doing what we're supposed to do, hopefully we end up recruiting over the likes of Dylan Brown Turner. But he's here now. He's committed. He's probably going to sign tomorrow, and he's going to get on campus, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with him. See if he can push. We'll see what he can do once he gets on campus. But that's just my 2 cents. I know it might not be the popular thing to say, but I just got to be honest. That's just what I do. My opinion. And if you have a different opinion, I completely understand it. I completely understand it. Let's see what some of y'all are thinking about the young man. It says, Polk, don't sleep on South Oak Cliff. They got some players on there out there in Dallas. Yeah. Let's hope he's some good. Randy got to go. FSU don't need to keep looking at diamonds in the rough. I don't have a problem. So I'll say this, Damien. This is my personal opinion again. I don't have a problem with diamonds in the rough. My problem is the numbers, the probability. What is the probability that Ward and this kid, both extremely low ranking backers, are both these diamonds in the rough? What is the probability that every 3-star you take is a diamond in the rough? That's my issue. I wouldn't have a problem with Dylan Brown Turner if he was just one. The problem is you got 3 linebacker commits. 3 linebacker commits. One's a legit prospect. Actually, the one I actually think is underrated. And even though he's a 4-star, I actually think Blake's a fluid athlete, man. I think he's underrated. I think he's probably better. And even though he's a 4-star, I think he's probably better than what people think. I'm really looking forward to Blake. But then after that, it completely drops off a cliff. So if you think DeMarco Ward's going to be good, cool. No issues with that. If you think Dylan Brown's going to be good, cool. No issues with that. What is the probability that both of these guys, think one's ranked in the 800s in Ward and one's down in the 1500s in Brown? What's the probability that both of those guys are these massive sleeper prospects? I think when you put it like that, I think you might just have a little bit of realization, right? Just my opinion. Again, just my opinion. Her says at its offers. Randy, you're on the clock. We're all just working on the assumption that he's on scholarship, right? Dude could be a walk on. Well, I guess he could be. Mike doesn't usually announce the walk-ons though. To my recollection, Mike did a whole tweet for him and everything. Mike usually doesn't do that for walk-ons. Luke was 5'9". That's one. Find me another one. But you're always going to have an anomaly, right? Shout out to Luke Clinkley. And that's still damn near 1,000 spots better than Dylan Brown Turner. So it's kind of wild. He's like literally still 1,000 spots better than Dylan Brown Turner. Someone on maybe, man. He built like the Loach. I personally think he probably can run sideline to sideline, but can he tackle? That man got hurt in his junior year. He just now becoming 100%. He was not 100% his senior year, diamond in the rough. I know we think everybody's a diamond in the rough, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. What's up, Jadon? His film, highlight tapes are always solid. If you don't have Nicholson, you have DeMarco Ward and Brown Turner. Come on. He has to stop being picky and get some more top linebackers. Hey, man, that's all I'm saying. Does this staff know they're at FSU and not at Memphis? Ouch. I can understand people when does Wake Forest 4-stars or backers, when does Duke sign 4-star backers, when does Syracuse sign 4-star? Yeah, they have good ones. Do they? Can you name them? Do they? Do those backers that you just spoke of, or do they go? For one, Wake has won what? Duke has won what? Duke's 2 years removed from what, a 2-win season? They had a good season last year, but Duke has won how many ACC conference titles? Wake has won how many of those? Syracuse has won how many of those? Like, what big games are these programs that you just named won? And then what are the names of these linebackers that you say they have that are good? Are they going to the NFL? What round are they getting drafted? We're not Wake. See, I have a problem now when we do this because we're not Wake, we're not Duke, we're not Syracuse. Let's have some damn pride. We're Florida State University. Our linebackers are Ernie Sims, Marvin Jones, Derek Brooks, Sam Coward, Nigel Bradham, Telvin Smith. Are we going to sit here and pretend Like, we were in a linebacker factory at one point. Lawrence Timmons, Buster Davis, Kendall Pope. I can keep going. So let's be Florida State and not say we're Wake Forest and Duke and Syracuse. Thank you for the comment, though. What's up, Kevin? I don't think Mike announced Dante. I think we knew of Dante because of his relationship with Daniel Lyons, but I don't recall him announcing. And I could be wrong. Nick, you could be right. I don't remember. And it was very well known. If they did announce him, it was also very well known. They made it known that Dante was walking on. And I can kind of understand why they would announce Dante because he was a four-star walk on, which is kind of crazy. But I don't remember if they did officially announce him. And Tyler says, this ain't Duke or Wake. That's the problem. Thank you. At least somebody gets it. Somebody gets it. And here comes DF with some foolishness. Stop hating light skinned dude on YouTube. That Oak Cliff kid will perform. Have you watched him? Did you go watch any of his games? Please tell me if you did. Just tell me how he plays. That's all I'm asking. And stop skipping over my super chat. I didn't see a super chat. For real? My bad, bro. I didn't see it. Let me scroll back up. I honest to God, didn't see it. Gotta remember, man, I don't got my mouse, so I'm not as fluid as I usually am. Oh, there it is. My bad, bro. My bad. Seriously, my bad. I don't like missing super chats. With the $2 dono, Oak Cliff fire emoji, with the shish kebab, a.k.a. the spear. And I don't know which one you want, but I'm going to guess DF wants this one. Bitch, be humble. Bitch, sit down. Be humble. Sit down. It's not the end of the world, though. Maybe this guy has some, not the end of the world, absolutely. Lewis says they didn't announce Dante. Again, they could have or couldn't have. I honestly don't remember. But like I said, either way, they usually don't announce walk-ons. And Mike did announce this one, so I think it's fair to say he's on scholarship. So, but you get my point. I appreciate you for looking those up, Damian. But you found Bobby Wagner and Luke Kuechly out of, you feel me? That's all I'm saying. So, what is the odds that we got both Luke Kuechly and Luke Kuechly and Bobby Wagner in this? You got kind of making a point, right? What are the odds that both of those guys are these two? Probably not extremely high. Absolutely, Nick. We all know who was instrumental in getting Blake here. So I agree with you, Dan Squatch. And again, I'm not going hard on the young man. This is not a knock on him. I hope he comes in here and I hope he balls out. I am simply just airing my grievances on the overall. Unfortunately, he's just the face to the problem because he's the latest. It's just, here we are. Here we are is the point. He's just the face. And I hope Dylan Brown comes in here and he kills it. Here's the beautiful thing, folks. If you got a problem with anything that I'm saying, here's the beautiful thing. They have a chance to on Saturdays to shut me the hell up. That's what I always say. For all those guys that I come on here and I criticize, whether it's the Jerry and Jones or whoever, guess what? They get a chance to go on the field on a Saturday and shut me up. When I say Jordan Eubanks wasn't FSU talent, he had a chance to go on the field on Saturday and shut me up. He just never could get the field, and he ended up going elsewhere. So that's the beautiful thing about this sport. Let's hope he gets on the field and shuts me up. I will not shy away from coming on here and say, "Damn, I was wrong about Dylan Brown Turner. He's the truth." Will not shy away from it. Let's move on. Well, let's get a few more comments because I see y'all hitting the comments, and then we'll move on to the schedule. Pretty no girl, what's going on? We also didn't recruit Tatum. Again, you guys are making a point. Tatum goes elsewhere. plays, improves himself, gets developed. Then he transfers to Florida State. Now he's an all-conference caliber player. That's what I said Dylan Brown Turner should have did. That's what Florida State should have let him do. Go to North Texas, prove that he's that gem. Because guess what? Then he's going to be in the portal in 2 years or 3 years anyway. It's my whole point. It's my whole point. I didn't see the kid play because he played at SOC. I went to Vel, and we don't go to Oak Cliff schools. I remember Ray Lewis was passed over for a backup tight end by about, yeah, that was 30 years ago, bro. That was 30 years ago. That's not a sad thing, I don't think. I think Lewis, I think if you are that dog, embrace it. Embrace it. There's one thing about this fan base. We can be hard, but when we get behind the guy, we get behind the guy like no other. I will admit that this fan base can be hard. We can definitely be hard. But once we get behind you, can't nobody say anything bad about you. Go on social media right now and dare somebody to speak ill of Jordan Travis and see how many FSU fans flock to the defense. This time last year or 2 years ago, FSU fans were killing Jordan Travis. So we can be a hard bunch, but once we get behind you, you have an army behind you. Let that motivate you. That's the way I look at it. He is still a walk on, as far as I know. Those are the 2024 guys, right? I hope we got a shot at them. Well, that's going to be the conversation. Mike got to grow some balls and cut off the dead weight. JP low key on the hot seat too. He needs a big D in classes. Yeah, that FALK decommitment didn't help JP at all. I kind of with you there, Tyler. And it's like if Lamont's not a legacy, what happens there? But like that FALK decommitment kind of hurt. But he's got a good room. He's got a good room. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on. Schedule. Let's move on to the schedule. Again, shout out to Dylan Brown Turner. Congratulations. Welcome to the family. And shut everybody up, man. Shut everybody up. That's all I really can say. Shut us up. Or shut me up and anybody that I guess thinks like me. But you got a group of people that's also supporting you. Well, let's go to the schedule, though. Before that, let's get to this $10 dono, though. Everyone has their own opinion on the schedule. Some people like it, some people don't. I personally am fine with it, especially I think I prefer having Clemson early and get it over with. Jeff with the $10 dono, man. Shout out to Jeff. Give my thoughts on the schedule here shortly.
My name is Jeff.
There you have it. LSU, Southern Miss, BC, Clemson. Now, the month of September, boy, FSU has a chance in the month of September as we kind of break this down 4 games at a time. FSU, let's be honest. Let's be honest. Y'all can't see my face because I got the schedule up there. But let's be honest. FSU has a legit chance to go 2-2 in the first 4 games. I'm not saying we will. But I don't know if the first here's what the first 4 games are going to show you. This is why I personally like the schedule, because we get the BS out the way. Not the BS, but we get the truth fairly quickly. With LSU and Clemson, we get the truth fairly quickly. Meaning you're going to know, is the playoff realistically a possibility? Or Because even if you go 2-2 in the first 4 games, the ACC is still in your grasp. And again, at a minimum, Florida State is an ACC championship contender. At a minimum, as long as you don't drop a BS game to like Boston College, right? You go 2-2. The assumption being the losses are LSU and Clemson. You still are in the hunt for the ACC. Still are in the hunt. But those playoff aspirations, that national championship talk that some of us think is a possibility, even if it's a stretch. Again, you take care of this easy schedule overall. Playoffs are in reach, but you're going 2-2 is probably out. But that's okay for me because I like the fact that you get the 2 toughest games on your schedule out the way. You are going to find out by the end of September what this team is all about. Are they real or are they not? In terms of national scene, I still think we're real in the ACC. And then here's the other aspect of that. If you go 4-0 in that, when do you lose a game? If you excuse me, if you go 4-0 in that stretch, Virginia Tech was one of the worst teams last year. I don't know how much they really improved. Cuse, you saw what we did to Cuse last year. I don't know how much they improve. I think they lose their running back. And I don't know if that quarterback's coming back, but he wasn't all the way healthy for them. I don't know what's the deal with that. I'm not worried about Cuse. They lost Chestnut. I think he went to LSU, as a matter of fact. You mean to tell me Duke is the toughest game in the next 4-game stretch? Duke. I don't care what anybody says about Duke. I know they were a solid team last year. FSU's never lost to Duke, and we ain't going to lose to Duke. I can tell you that. We're not the JV team down south. Wake Forest, they're losing all-world wide receiver and Perry. They're losing their quarterback. I be honest with you, I'm not really worried about Wake. So your next 4 games is really a breeze. Now your last 4 are tough. Pitt should be a decent team. Don't know how decent, but Pitt's coached extremely well. They've been coached well for the last couple of years. Pitt's going to be a tough game. Miami, rivalry, whether or not I think that team's good or not, hey, we play them so late in the season, we're going to know exactly what Miami is by the time that game rolls around. Who's that team? South Alabama or whatever? Yeah, next. And then you got Florida. So you got Pitt and your 2 rivals in the last 4-game stretch. I mean, your last 4 could be a little iffy. You feel me? But man, if you go 4-0, a whole lot of lies start getting told on that schedule. And what I keep telling y'all, I don't know if they lies anymore. Me personally, I like the schedule. I like the fact that we're going to be tested early and we're going to know exactly what this team is off the bat. We're going to know in the first 4 games, is FSU national or regional? Meaning, are we talking playoff or are we just going to talk about the ACC? I'm fine with either, if I'm being honest with you. As far as I'm concerned, I keep saying this, it's not that I want to lower expectations, but I want to take care of the ACC. I want to win the ACC. Because we're going to talk about what needs to happen if we want to take that step to being national, but I think at a minimum, we should be winning the ACC. If at least playing the at least playing the game, at least playing the championship game. But you don't make all these moves to not play for the ACC championship. That's just me. You don't play NC State. You don't play Louisville, bro. A lot of these ACC teams take a step back. NC State, I think the Virginia quarterback transferred there. So, what does that mean? These guys are missing. All the quarterbacks are gone, with the exception of Drake May. There's no more DJ at Clemson. There's no more Hartman at Wake. There's no more O'Leary or whatever, or Leary at NC State. No, unfortunately, Shipley's still there. Unfortunately, I was pissed off when I found out Shipley came back too. Unfortunately, Shipley's still there. But a lot of guys, man, lost a lot of players. Florida State's bringing back a lot of guys. Hell, you got no more Zay Flowers at Boston College. Like, what are we talking about? Seriously though, like, I'm not worried about that schedule, man. I'm not worried about that schedule at all. Serious question, Polk. Why are people worried about Pitt? They lost their starting running back, lost their best 2D. I think because Pitt has shown over the years that, not that they necessarily reload, but again, that they're a solid and well coached team. I think Pitt's gotten to the point of respectability where people assume, again, not necessarily that they reload, but that they're going to have a solid football team. And even if they start the season off shaky, you place Pitt late enough where they're going to figure some things out, I think, by then. And they always have a decent defensive line. They're usually coached up well along the defensive front. I think Pitt probably going to have a solid football team. Party bus to UM JV game. Let's do it. Let's do it.
I'm in Tallahassee, I'm with the Seminoles. I've been getting to this paper, focus on my goals. Trying to run this money up and pull up in a row. All this talking gangster, that shit getting old.
Rock says, question, Polk, if we win our first 4, where do you think we could be ranked in the top 3? If you win your first 4, I think you're definitely top 5. Well, you might be top. It's a great question because you're probably going to start the season top 15. LSU's probably a top 15, top 10 team, and Clemson's probably a top 15, top 10 team. We would probably be the only team with 2 top 10 wins in the first 4 games. I don't know how you keep them out of the top 5 at a minimum. Top 5 in the top 5. Yeah, like Dan Squash saying, Pitt got a quality football team year in and year out. They've had overperforming defensive linemen since Darnold was there. It's like, again, it's not that they necessarily reload. They're just a good program. Like, they're just a quality program. They are, like you said, put a quality football team out there. When's the last time Pitt's had a losing record? That's a great question because I don't know. Pitt usually puts out a quality football team year in and year out. Not saying they're world beaters, but they put out a quality ball club. UNC, I think, will be better than Pitt. Louisville, I don't. We talking about quarterbacks? Who's Louisville's quarterback? And then is Cunningham? Did Cunningham come back? If Cunningham came back, then okay, maybe. But you got to remember, Louisville's breaking a brand new coach. You know how them year 1 coaches tend to go. Ask Miami. Everyone wants us to join the SEC or big. If that's the case, the schedule will always be tough. Clemson early doesn't bother me. It shouldn't bother you. If you was Clemson's new OC, you would be pissed Dabo won't let you use the portal. If you come out the first set of 3-1, yes, I do think that. I think if you're 3-1 in the first 4 games, yes, playoffs is definitely still alive. Got to win your conference, though. Got to win your conference. Let's talk about it, man, because we are talking about what if Florida State does this, what if Florida State does that. Last year they had the best staff in the nation. Now Gaddis is trash. Hey, you already know how that narrative goes. Championship dreams, man. I'm gonna break this down to science. At least I think I am. What does Florida State need to do to get to the playoff? The basics of it is the Florida State needs to do what they did this past year. But I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna break it down to something that y'all may have heard before, but I think y'all will understand it. I'm gonna break it down. There's three things that have. There's three. How do I word it? There's three categories that are involved every year with every football team. And these things have to come to fruition for said team to take the next step. And I'm going to go over them right here. Number one, this is what we call the known knowns. You know what you know. So what do we know? Jordan Travis, Trey Benson, Johnny Wilson, Jarrett Verse. That's what we know. Meaning, the guys that you know are ballers, not only they have to return, there's no regression. You have to return to being what you were the previous year, if not be better. Jordan Travis has to do exactly, if not more, than he did this past year. Same thing with Trey Benson. Everybody that you're known, I mean the players that you know are good, need to be good next year. No regression, and not only be good, but probably take that next step. But you expect them to take that next step. You expect them to take that next step because they're the known knowns. They're what you know. Johnny Wilson got to give you the same production. Trey Benson got to give you the same, if not more, production. Jordan Travis. Whatever player you think is a known, whatever player on this team, I see y'all naming some guy. Whatever player you think is a good player, well, he has to be that and more. That is the known knowns. You know what you know. The next step is your unknown knowns. I mean, you don't quite know what you know. Or you know what you don't know, however you want to word that one. Meaning, I see somebody just say Pat Payton. Pat Payton falls in that category, meaning you know he's talented, but how good is Patrick Payton? Patrick Payton, your unknown knowns, or your known unknowns, however you want to word that. It can't be a known unknown because you don't know what you don't know. But you might know, or you don't know what you know. Could be a little bit confusing, but stay with me. Meaning, you know what Pat Payton is, or you think you know what Pat Payton is, but now he needs to take that step to being the known known. Good freshman campaign, but now it's time to take the next step. You look at this past year, who was a known unknown or an unknown known, meaning you don't know what you know. Think of that player, and that player ended up taking the step. I would argue that Jordan Travis was an unknown known, meaning you knew who he was. We knew Jordan Travis was going to be the starting quarterback, and we knew he had to play better, but we didn't know he was going to do that. That's what I mean. I think Jordan Travis is a perfect example. Some of those transfers are a perfect example. We knew Johnny Wilson was 6'7", 230, but we didn't know he was going to be that. That's what you got. If you watch the Boondocks, you know what I'm talking about. The unknown knowns. That's what you need, though. Those guys need to become. Benson was I'm talking about for next year. Benson was an unknown known. Benson was a unknown. I mean, you don't know what you don't know. We didn't know what Benson was. We ain't got to those guys yet, right? We didn't get to those guys yet. We're still talking about you don't know what you know. Meaning, basically, you know the name, but you don't know exactly how good they are. That's what we need. Those guys need to become the known knowns. Those guys need to be like, you know what you're getting. So Patrick Payton needs to become, you know what you're getting every game. You feel me? And that last category is you don't know what you know, the unknown, meaning you don't know what you don't know. And that's the person that comes out of the blue. That's Trey Benson. Nobody, I don't care, even if you thought Trey Benson was a good take, you didn't see Trey Benson playing like that. You didn't see it. Right? Jared Verse was an unknown known. Because we knew who Verse was. We just didn't know. Winston Wright could be considered an unknown because you don't know. And I would argue that the unknown is a person that you might not even, again, because you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. That could be a person that you're not even thinking about. So your Shaheem Browns need to become known. Shaheem Brown is one of those unknown knowns. Again, you know the name, but how good is he? All those fringe guys. Look, hey, let me go from the Boondocks and let me go to Pokemon. Let me give you this visual. You got Pat Payton, right? Pat Payton is the first step in the evolution process. Pat Payton was good. Pat Payton needs to evolve into Jared Verse. Jared Verse needs to evolve into Jermaine Johnson. These are the steps I'm talking about that you need to take to become that national contender. Jared Verse was really good, but Jared Verse didn't dominate games like Jermaine did. Jared Verse needs to take that next step. Pat need to become Verse, and Verse need to become Jermaine. This is the evolution process I'm talking about with some of these players. Jordan Travis needs to turn into Charlie Ward. And it might be crazy to say some of these names, but that's what we're talking about. If we're talking about winning a national championship, making the college football playoff. So think of the name, and that's what these guys need. I would say Jaheim Bell is an unknown known because people are expecting a lot out of Jaheim because of the talent. People know the talent, you just don't know the production yet. Do we have a Ramsey? Does AZ take the evolutionary step? That's the whole point, bro. Is we need guys to take the step. You guys that you don't know need to become contributors, and your contributors need to become stars. That's the evolutionary process of good teams. Patrick Payton can't come in next year and have 4 or 5 sacks. You didn't take the right step. You got to take the step to being all conference or better. People talking about Jared Verse being the top 15 pick or whatever. I told y'all he wasn't. If he was, he would have left. Jared Verse wasn't the top 15 pick. But you turn into Jermaine this year and you become that. That's why he came back to school. He ain't come back to school for no NIL because NIL ain't NFL money. Jared Verse came back to improve his draft stock, which means he understands he has to take the next step in the evolutionary process. All your players do. Johnny needs to become Kelvin Benjamin in terms of putting up his numbers. What did Kelvin have? 15 touchdowns his last year and over 1,000 yards? That's what Johnny needs to do. Everybody's got to take that step. That's what Florida State has to do if we're really talking about 14, the Final Four. Now, they can stay pat. They can stand pat, and they can be the same team last year, and I think that's good enough to get to the ACC championship. But does anybody in the chat really want that? Nobody wants to stay the same. And yeah, it's good enough to get you to the ACC, but it's even good enough to win it. I don't think anybody wants that. But let me get to this super chat, man, from my boy Jeff. The defensive line's got to play much better. We have more depth now, so that helps. Johnny Wilson, as good as he was, he got to play better. The unknown Winston Wright, we'll see what he can do after his injury. Agree with everything he said. Agree with everything he said.
My name is Jeff.
End of the day, man, you got to take these steps. I saw Zoe say Benson needs to be Dalvin. I don't think Benson needs to be Dalvin, but Benson needs to be more decisive, more. It might sound contradictory, but decisive and but you can be decisively patient, right? Benson's got some tools he can add to his bag. I don't think he's not Dalvin, but he is a physical specimen. Who in that running back goes from unknown to known? That's the whole point of this conversation. Because right now, behind LT and Benson, there's a bunch of unknown unknowns. We have no idea who that third running back is. No idea. Everybody thinks it's Keziah Holmes. Could Rodney Hill surprise? Singleton brings a different dimension than maybe any running back, and he's a true freshman, I know, but he brings a whole different dynamic because he brings speed. Guys are fast. Singleton brings a different type of speed. If there's one transfer that I don't have much worry about, it's Fentrell Cypress, to be honest with you, VJ. And the reason I say that is because Fentrell, he was locked down in the ACC last year. He's still in the ACC. He's not taking a step up in comp. He's just going to a better program. Still played in the ACC. Unlike a Fisk, guys that are taking buyers, guys that are taking a step up in competition. Fentrell has played in the ACC and has been the best corner in the ACC. I don't necessarily think that changes. So he's probably the one guy I'm least worried about because the adjustment for him, there is none. He's just moving schools, but he's in the same conference that he's already been dominant in. And then Rock says he thinks Holmes, but that's that's what you need though. I hope Holmes is better than Benson, if I'm being honest with you, because that's what you need. Just like we had Trayshawn Ward and Benson may have ended up being better than Trayshawn Ward. That's what you need. You need guys to start overlapping other guys. And that doesn't mean that Benson sucks. It just means that you got a guy that's better. It's like Pat was able to do with D-Mac. Right? But can Pat take this next step? Where does Edmond fit in that rotation? And can one of those young defensive ends, Byron Turner, do you push somebody out of that rotation? We know we go to the interior, you got Fabo, you got Fisk. We all feel pretty comfortable with those two, right? But behind them, what do you got? Who steps up? Does Farmer take the next step? Jackson's there. But Jackson ain't at Miami no more. Yeah, Nick's about to lose. Jackson's there, but he ain't at Miami no more. Miami had one guy on the defensive interior that was any good, and that was Leonard Taylor and Daryl Jackson. Those were the only two guys. And Leonard Taylor, he's sometimey. He shows up some games, goes completely ghost, Casper, and others. Daryl Jackson ain't going to be in a rotation like that this year. He's got to compete because Farmer, his old high school teammate, is there. Tafasi's the dark horse in that room that everybody's excited for. Me, personally, I think Antavius Woody going to have something to say. From the day I saw him, I always thought he was a true D tackle. He's explosive. He's long. Don't sleep on Antavius Woody. Daniel Lyons, don't sleep on. I mean, the defensive tackle room is young, but it's promising. It is promising. But that's what we need. We need them boys to take that next step. Hold on, Jeff. I didn't try to click on this one, but I'm gonna get to you soon. You know what? You deserve this more than that other. I'm gonna get to that other guy here in a second. I don't know why he's putting Miami's record in the chat. We all know y'all gonna go win 6 games, but shout out to Big 3 T2Y now. Shout out to you predicting Miami's record for the upcoming season. I don't know. 6-6 was acceptable for Cuban sandwich down there. But Jeff with the $10 dono says, I think we're good when it comes to offense. I think we're going to dominate that side of the ball. My question mark is, can the defense step up? If we do, we have a great shot of winning a lot of games. Jeff doing his thing.
My name is Jeff.
And just for you, T2I.
Bitch, be humble. Bitch, sit down. Be humble. Sit down.
But to Jeff's point, I think there's some questions on offense, though. Boxing monster so dumb. I think we got some questions on offense. Like, let's talk about it. Like, when do one of these offensive linemen take that next step? I think that right tackle spot is begging to be taken by a Jalen Early, a Julian Armella. I know we got Bless Harris there, but I'll be honest with you. I don't have faith that Bless Harris wins that job. I'm going to just be real. With you. Don't have too much faith that Bless Harris wins that job. Does Byers play that spot? I don't think so, because I'm not so sure Meach gets that waiver. If Meach does get that waiver, then that is something else. Then that shores up some stuff up along that offensive line, because then you probably push Byers over to right tackle. But until that's official, I think the right tackle spot's up for. I think there's going to be a lot of competition. I'm going to tell you something. I think there's going to be a lot of competition on that offensive line. I think there are going. I'm not 100% sure that every transfer starts, though. From early reports is, from what we've heard early from like the tour of duty and stuff, Keandre Jones might be the best guy out of the transfers. I think a lot of people thought he might be, and when I say worst, that don't mean he's a bad player, but I think out of the 3, I think some people thought that he might have been 3rd in that group. For Keandre Jones has been very impressive, which doesn't quite surprise me. We talk about a 340-pound athlete. But that offensive line is going to be a beautiful competition to watch, because I don't know if you can pencil. I mean, Robert Scott gets penciled in. Outside of that, I think every spot's up for grabs. I really do. I know Byers didn't come here to sit, but he's going to have – look, you coming from UTEP. I don't know who you played at UTEP, but we finna see, right? We finna see. I know Armella didn't come here to sit on the bench for 2 years straight. I don't think Jalen Early did either. Kanaya Charlton, that's a lot of man to keep on that bench. What about Quayshawn Sapp? What about Dontre Richardson? Notice I ain't even got a Schrader or Zane Herring, who I think by the end of spring ball might hit the portal. Not so sure those 2 guys are even in the mix. And then you still got Estes somewhere in the mix. I love the fact that the offensive line is in this type of brutal competition, because it's going to breed success. Yeah, we keep trying to push Smith out, and guess what? Maurice Smith proves us wrong every year. So I'm not counting Maurice Smith out this year. Would not shock me if he's starting game 1, and maybe Roddick's playing guard or something. Wouldn't shock me. I don't know if you can pencil in any one player other than Robert Scott. That's the only player that I know will be a starter somewhere on the O-line. If Armella's good enough, maybe you push Robert Scott to tackle. The right tackle, excuse me. Don't know about that though. I would love Armella anywhere on that O line. And then you still got Darius Washington, who we know is the Swiss Army knife for the entire O line, can play any spot on the O line wherever they need him. And I think they value that about him. They even mentioned Darius Washington. So these are the steps that Florida State has to take. All these guys that we just named, it's time to elevate your game. Take that next step and maybe push a guy out that we don't see coming. Same thing in that receiver. I mean, you name it. I know we tend to think that this offense is like penciled in going to be dope. And I'm not saying it's not. I don't know if everything's as blatant as it seems. I think there's a lot of competition in that wide receiver room too. Winston Wright coming back. You signed a hell of a class, a wide receiver class. You got Darian Williamson getting healthy. Portier had his moments last year. Do you pencil in? Look, man, Ja'Kai Douglas. I think Ja'Kai Douglas, and I'm going to be honest with y'all. Shout out to Micah Pittman because I know he does a lot of the dirty work, and maybe like Ja'Kai Douglas can't do this. But as far as being a wide receiver goes and not a blocker, Ja'Kai Douglas can do anything Micah Pittman can do and probably better. And he's more explosive. Whole lot of competition in this room, bro. Nick says, what transfers do you think start on the O-line? And like I was just saying, bro, I don't know if you can pencil anybody in. Keandre always had that physical gifts. It's the focus. Yep, I'm with you, Dan Squat. Hold on. Go find her. Irv says we need Armella to take one of them spots. Roddick is pretty sure starter, just not sure where. You're probably right about Casey, but like you said, where though? Adrian, keep it down. A lot of bodies. And like we said, if Meach comes back, then it gets a lot more interesting, man. It gets a lot more interesting. If you lose a guard and your third best guard has to play real reps, compare that to safety. Who's your bro? We ain't even going. We'll go to the defense here in a minute. We ain't even went to the defense. He has surgery. I don't. Go check FSU's. If you actually go check FSU's roster page, they don't even know where Joshua Burrell is. They have a list of. He's the only player I think on the entire roster that's listed as an athlete. He doesn't have a position, and I don't know if that serves well for him. I don't know if that's a good thing, if I'm being honest, for Joshua Burrell. I'll be honest with you, man. With his size, give him a shot at linebacker. Like, I know that might not be the legit answer because I think you have the certain mentality to play that position. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Defense for sure needs to step up, but we have to dominate our special teams this year. Yes, he was. People look over that all the time. McClellan gave you a lot of good snaps at safety last year that you don't have that luxury this year. Let's move to the defense. I think we've talked enough about the offense. Defensively, it gets a little bit more shaky on that back end, and that's just the facts. Defensively, it gets more shaky on that back end. I think defensive line is good. Um, defensive end goes about 3-4 deep. I mean, I know we give D-Mac a hard time, but he is a solid rotational piece. He's probably just not the edge starter that we need. He's not the edge starter that we probably need, but he is a rotational guy, right? He is a rotational guy. Whereas then you bring in 6'5", 250 in Edmond. Of course, Pat Verse. And then you got some guys. Did you see if does Dante Anderson, is he able to get in the mix? Byron Turner able to get in the mix? So you got some guys, right? Jaden Jones, man. This guy's getting back into the swing of things. See how he bounces back after his injury. Is he capable of getting in the mix? I don't expect anything from Lamont Green year one, but we will see, right? We'll see. Defensive tackle, we already covered defensive tackle, right? A lot of depth there. The problem becomes maybe, and I don't know if corner's a problem. Corner's got a lot of bodies. The problem really is that safety. I think of corner, Fentrell, Ronaldo Green, Jerry and Jones. For me, the corner thing is all about consistency. Does Jerry and Jones play as well as he played in previous years? Excuse me. Let me rephrase that. Does he play better than he has in previous years? Does he start next season the way he kind of finished this past season? That's the key for Jerry. Does Amarion Cooper bounce back? Does Kevin Knowles bounce back? You already talked about Ronaldo Green and Cypress. You are adding a lot of DBs in this class. I don't know what you think of them, but Jabril Ross, Quindarius Jones, Kirkland, Hussey. I mean, those are some bodies that you're adding to the room. Edmond is another one. Not Edmond. What's the other DB man that I'm forgetting? Joseph Edwards, is that his name? His name leaves me. I'm forgetting him. And now you got a new DB coach at that. What, Pat Surtain? Who's the other DB I'm thinking about? Y'all let me know the DB I'm missing. Is it Edwin Joseph? Edwin Joseph. That was his name, right? So we're talking about they recruited 5 DBs. I'd say that one of those guys is able to contribute. Then you go to safety. That's where it gets a little dicey. We were talking about unknown knowns and known unknown and all that. Shaheem Brown is a unknown known. We know him. He's played well in spurts. Can Shaheem Brown really be an every down safety? Does Shaheem Brown take the next step? We had a good solid like Dan Squatch said. Like Dan Squatch said, we had a good solid rotation at the safety position last year that people gloss over it. But you had Jamie, you had Dent, you had Shaheem, and that fourth guy was really solid. Like Dan Squatch said, he was a good floor to have. The drop off was not drastic when Jaquez McCullough was on the field. It did not drop. I don't see that this year. I hope we find it. But right now it's Dent, Shaheem, Travis J is a known unknown. You know who he is. We have no idea how Travis J plays after a year of not playing any football. Has his game been completely revamped, or is the same Travis J that we've seen in previous years? I don't know. And then you can't even tell me who the fourth guy is. Are we counting on Conrad Hussey to be the fourth guy? Do they go out and get a guy in the portal? Do they move one of the corners to safety? I didn't even mention Greedy Vance in the corners. Corners are kind of loaded, if we're being honest. We've got a lot of bodies. It's just finding the right guys. Cypress, Ronaldo, Green, and probably Vance is probably your three. Cypress, Green, and Vance. It's probably your three guys at corner to start the season at least. And we'll see if guys can. But I think you have a lot of competition there. I think a lot of bodies. AZ. We got a lot of corners. We got corners. Question is safeties. I don't know much about them safeties. I mean, I know about them. I just don't know who emerges as. Do we have a fourth guy? I don't know if we have a fourth guy in that safety room. But let's see what y'all talking about in these comments. Bro, you don't even believe that. You don't even believe that. I still don't understand the defense needs to step up talk. All Fuller has done is get better every year. I agree with you, Matt. I said this. Fuller's gotten better every year, but we keep criticizing him for some reason. I agree with you. I don't get it. I just think the defense needs to. I think a valid take would be to say that the defense just has to be consistent. But hell, you could say that about the offense because in that NC State game, was the offense consistent? It damn sure wasn't, because if it was, we would have put up more than 17 points over whatever it was we put up. So the whole team just needs to be more consistent. But that's what you need to do to take the next step, is be more consistent. But I'm with you on the defense. I don't think it needs to step up. It just needs to be more consistent. Yeah, if Peyton can take that, I'm with you too. Absolutely. Dansko says, if you lose top line talent anywhere up front, we're hurting. No Fabo, no Verse. McClendon can give up Pat replacement reps as it stands, but Pat don't replace Verse currently. No, Pat isn't Verse right now, but that's what I was mentioning. Pat got to take the next step. Yeah, I think I hear what you're saying though. Like, you can't really afford an injury to Verse or Fabo unless Peyton takes a step. But hold on one second. We'll see if that happens. I still don't. I still think people are pulling that out of nowhere. I don't see any real traction with that. But we'll see. VJ says this might be a dumb question, but how are we feeling about Fitz with that September schedule? We don't have time to play around. Hey man, I've kind of been saying this from the jump. Fitz need to figure it out. Real question: are our DBs played their our DBs being played in their best respective positions to optimize them? Who do you think should be playing where? That'd be my question. Who should be play? Do you think somebody should be moved to a different spot? Finally got depth at nickel. It all needs to take a step, but it's 3 deep with young guys you like. Vance not starting over Knowles. Well, he did last year. So unless Knowles picks it up, yeah, I think Vance probably starts over Kevin Knowles. Because he damn sure did last year. But we'll see. I'm not, again, I ain't mad at none of that. I hope Knowles takes this next step. That's what I want to see. But don't sleep on Greedy. Jeff with another $10 don't know says Pat Surtain. I think he's the right guy to teach these guys the right techniques. So I think you're going to see an upgrade, but we definitely need safety through the portal. That's another big thing, man. Shout out to Jeff. That's another big thing. We're going to see how big a difference Pat makes over Woodson. That we're going to find out relatively quickly.
My name is Jeff.
Get more money, more money. Get more money, more money.
We didn't have a top defense. Come on. We played back. Hey, we played our schedule. That's all I can say. And even the good offenses we did play, we held all those offenses under their season averages, including Wake Forest, who put up 40 some odd points against the Clemson team. Even Oklahoma, you held them right to their season average. I mean, look, man, I done talked about this defense over and over. It's 2023. You're not holding good offenses down, bro. Go ask Georgia, which everybody thinks is a top tier defense, what they could do against Ohio State, who is a top tier offense. Like, you're not holding good quarterbacks and top tier offenses in check. Like, it just don't happen. So you dominated the bad offenses like you're supposed to, and guess what you did? You held the good offenses to either right under their averages or at their averages. Like that's what good defense is, bro. Like I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know why. What else is there really to say? Briley says, hypothetically, say we go 11-2, win the ACC, but lose LSU and Clemson regular season. Does 2 loss FSU against this schedule make the playoff? Probably not. No. Because that's also taking into account everything that goes on in the rest of the country, but you would, dare I say, for your scenario to get us into the playoff, we would need to beat LSU. I don't think you can lose to LSU and get into the playoff with the 2 losses. Now, if you can beat a top 10 LSU, but I don't know, you stumble against Pitt, and Pitt's kind of too late in the season, but we'll say Pitt because I think Pitt will be a quality team, maybe, depending on what else happens. But I don't think a loss to what everybody would consider your top 2 opponents get you into the playoffs, even if you were to beat Clemson in the ACC championship. Unless Clemson was ranked like number 1. And even then, I think it's still probably pushing it. The game is based to the offense so much now you have to change your perspective of what good defense is in 2023. That being said, we're blessed with the room for growth. We can all see it can be better. We ain't making no playoffs with more than 1 loss. I agree. Wake at UF Louisville all scored at will. Wake did not score at will because if they did, they would have put up more than 30, whatever amount of points they put. UJ held Tennessee to 13. Look at the Knicks trying to win a game. I mean, bro, like, but seriously though, we can pick games in and games out. Georgia also had a game against, what was it, Kent State or whatever, that was closer than what it should have been, right? So I can go to any schedule and pick out pieces of good defenses and bad defense. Nobody would disagree that talent-wise, Bama is wielding one of the top defenses, and look at some of the points they gave up. Like Tennessee ran into a buzzsaw that game. You feel me? Didn't your boy didn't Hooker get hurt in that game? Is that the game he got hurt in? I don't remember. UGA's front seven can wreck your offense to the point pass operation to collapse. Disagree at a dang bay. Any chance Lundy's up his game? I mean, that's another guy, for depth purposes, Marcus says, I'm going to be real. I think Travis Jay's improvement is the reason why they didn't aggressively go after a safety. I mean, even if Travis Jay is remarkably improved, Marcus, and I'm going to finish reading your comment, you still need to add another body. Because, again, you're still talking 3. You still need a 4-man rotation there. Where's that 4th guy? Well, that comes with what? Some improved corner play. So we'll see. Again, that's why you went and got Patrick Surtain, right? So we're going to see what our corners do. That comes with improved corner play. You want to see more turnovers. I'm assuming you mean interception. The pass rush gets where it needs to go. We can force quarterbacks into throwing some more picks. But we're about to hit that magical 1 hour and 30 mark. So we're going to finish on time tonight. T2I. Bruh, y'all do go every offseason talking about how great y'all going to be. You might want to actually check the resume. Actually check what Florida State did last year and what we got coming back. I know it's hard. Y'all are going to be counting on a bunch of freshmen to help y'all win games. So that always means you're not going to have a great season. Right? But it is what it is. It is what it is. We also need more pass rush production. Show Miami schedule? Nah. Remember this time last year, we went into the season saying, oh, Miami's got to eat. Even me. I didn't think Miami was a good team, but I was like, man, the schedule is so cake. Miami should, at worst, win 8 games. The boys won 5. So, as far as I'm concerned, Miami better take Miami of Ohio seriously, or they'll be Middle Tennessee again. As far as I'm concerned. Don't worry about Florida State. Y'all don't play us till November. You might want to worry about Miami of Ohio. Miami equals the Cowboy. Don't let Boxing Monster see that. That'll piss him off. I want to see Jay just have one magical year. He puts it all together right up there, right up out of here to the league because he's got the physical tools. Miami going 6-6 if they're lucky. I don't know what makes Miami think. And we're going to end on this. I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time on Miami, but I don't know what I don't know what Miami thinks having TVD learn his 3rd offense in 3 years. I don't know why it makes them think that that's a good recipe for success. So you might have fired Gaddis, but I think the smart move would have been to let Gaddis get another year in. So these boys ain't learning a whole new offense. TVD should have went to Jake Garcia route, and he should have hit the portal because they're about to ruin. That boy went from Heisman and NFL prospect. That boy finna be undrafted free agent. Watch. But with all that, guys, hit that like button on the way out. If you did not hit it on the way in, Another great episode of The Hangover, man. Might have something special for y'all this Saturday. Might have something special for y'all this Saturday. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. But yeah, man, like I said, hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new. If you just discover me for whatever reason and like, hey, I like this, subscribe. Share the videos as always so we can continue to get the word out to the people out there, the good people, that this is the place you want to be to listen to and talk about some Florida State football. And as always, be classy, Seminoles. It's your boy POLK over here on 863 Seminole TV. And we are out here. Go Noles.